Grace and peace, lovely people. It is such an honor to have you back. This is Straight Up with Nate, and I'm Nate. To get right into it. Now, I know a lot of times we ask the question, who is really my friend? Do I consider them my friend? And should we consider this friendship to go forward? Should we continue to be friends at all? See why this friendship is falling apart and things of that nature? And who do I really consider as a friend? Now, I'm going to read a couple of definitions. Some may apply to some people, some may not. The first definition is a person connected to another by personal regard or affection. A lot of times when we're talking about a really great friend is somebody who you have an emotional connection to. Someone who loves you, someone who honors you, someone who wants to respect who you are as a person, and someone who looks out for you in most times that most others would not. When I say this is not to say that, some friends who may not do this as well as others, that they're not good friends. But I do want people to understand that when we're talking about friends, there are emotions involved that allows you to know that this person is genuinely connected to you. This person is considerate of you. This person is aware of you. This person is self-aware of how to treat you, how to love you, how to honor you, how to hold you in high regard, and how to give you the love that you're looking for. Friendship goes through a number of phases and circumstances and things of that nature. It should be always founded on love. You always want to make sure that a friend is always of a loving nature, and loving doesn't always have to be a smile. Loving can also be just somebody who's just being honest with you, somebody who holds you accountable, somebody who's not afraid to tell you that, hey, this was not okay, not acceptable. Someone who will come to you and say, as a friend, I don't think this is appropriate and I don't think this is acceptable for behavior. There's so many ways in which a friend plays a part in your life in terms of your development, growth, leveling up, if that makes sense. The second definition I have is a person who gives assistance. Let me be clear when I say this. When we're talking about a person who gives assistance, I don't want people to get the wrong idea that your friend is always supposed to do things for you. When we're talking about assistance, please do understand assistance also means being able to tell you the truth. Being able to be told the truth is vitally important in terms of having certain friends in your life. There were times where, I'll even speak for myself, being told the truth was a hard thing for me. I always felt like I always had to be right. I always had to be in the place of correct, and that nobody could tell me I was wrong. Not until I got the right type of friends around me who could tell me like, hey, Nate, maybe consider this. Maybe consider this perspective. Maybe consider there's a different side to this that you probably haven't seen before. You need those types of friends who's gonna provide you that assistance to see a different perspective, a different understanding, a different experience. And why I say it like that is because a lot of times we often have friends who are going to be yes men or yes women who's gonna tell us that, yes, we should do this. Yes, we should do that. Yes, we should go forward and do a number of things. But at the same time, you also want a friend who's going to be able to tell you that, hey, I really don't think you should take this risk. I really think that you should think about this. I really think that you should pray about it. Whatever it is you're going to do is done effectively, and that you take some time to properly strategize and make sure that whatever it is that you're going to do is done effectively. The next definition that I have for a friend, a person who is on good terms with one another that is not hostile. Let me be clear when I explain this. Some people think that when you are friends with another person and you're telling the truth, or you have to be honest about something, that you're required to be brutally honest. In the previous video I said, bitterness is a very big thing that friends are to be mindful of, and that they are to be aware of how dangerous it can be within a friendship. When you are talking about, hey, I'm just telling the truth, that is a very deadly phrase when you're saying I'm telling the truth, especially when you're operating in a place of bitterness or unforgiveness. At a certain point now, you're sitting here operating in this hostility that when you come to your friend or you're trying to tell your friend the truth, the response is that you have to come with this hostility that's sitting in your heart, your spirit, your soul. And that when you're telling the truth, you don't take a moment to say, hey, you know what, maybe this is a very sensitive moment for them. Now, in that regard, I do want people to really understand that there's a difference between being honest and being rude. They're not the same thing. When you're being rude, there's a bit of hostility. And in the same time, some people who say that, I'm just being honest or I'm being blunt, there's times when people are trying to be honest, they're actually disrespectful. So be very careful in terms of when you say that, I'm just being honest. If you're going to be honest with people, be honest in the sense that you want to deliver truth, but deliver it in love. I'm not saying sugarcoat. I'm saying deliver it in love in the context that Though it may hurt, though it might not be the news that the person wants to hear, you deliver it in a manner in which is not with offense. It's not with the intent that you're going to hurt the person's feelings. You're not coming with the intent that you're going to just basically run the person's personality or their experiences into the ground. That's not okay. That is not something that should be appropriate. That is not something that should be acceptable. If you're going to be upfront and you're going to be honest with your friend, do it in a manner in which, yes, there is love, but at the same time, I'm also trying to give you respect. I'm trying to show you that I love you, but I'm also going to show you that I'm going to be honest with you about this decision, about this perspective, about going forward and handling something a certain way. Friends come in many different shapes and forms. And at the same time, whether a person doesn't talk to you all the time, or the person doesn't have your number, that does not mean that they're not a friend. A friend is someone who simply sees what's going on around you and is able to see how they can provide you assistance. Like I said before, they're able to provide counsel. They're also able to show you how to get better in certain areas. Because at certain points in times, we all need that friend who's going to be able to not just simply tell us good. You also want a friend who's going to be honest and tell us how bad things may get, how bad certain risks are, how bad certain situations may take place. And at that regard, you always want to make sure that that type of friend is someone that you can count on, that listening ear. I will personally say that a lot of times I'm very picky with friends, not because I want friends who are popular, but I want friends who also want to hold me accountable and tell me the honest truth. And when I say honest, I don't mean rude. I don't mean blunt. I don't mean disrespectful. I mean somebody who's going to be a friend in the concept that when you're telling me the truth, you understand that this is not something that I may want, but it's also something that I may need to hear in order for me to grow and develop as a person. When you're talking about friendship, I do also want people to understand that a friend is also someone who's going to hold you up when it's hard for you to stand. A friend who's able to show you that there's a better way than just holding on to one perspective, and that when they show you a different perspective, that you are open to see how your friend sees the world. Just because you may have grown up in a certain household, does that mean that another person who grew up in another household, who is your friend, doesn't have a better perspective or doesn't have a superior perspective? Because what you think is very small or very little, and what you've grown up in your own residence or in your own home or in your own experiences, does not mean that the person who may not have had the same experience is of lesser thinking, lesser experience, lesser understanding. The point of this video is not so much to say that, throw all your friends away. No. My point being is this: be mindful of your friends, treasure those who treasure you. Treasure those who will hold you accountable. Treasure those who will be honest with you. Treasure those who will be loving towards you. Treasure those who look out for you. Treasure those who are thoughtful of you. Treasure those who are going to be real with you. Treasure those who are going to be upfront about certain circumstances. Because sometimes the people who you think are going to be upfront with you about certain circumstances, they are not. Friendship is a gift. It is a genuine gift. And of course, I'm going to throw my Christian perspective. I believe friendships are a gift from God. And especially when God brings the right people into your life, it allows you the opportunity to have, like I said, different perspective, different experiences, different lessons, different blessings, and things of that nature where, some friends I'm not simply going to just say that I had to get rid of. But there are some friends who, for me personally, God had to show me they're a lesson in disguise. Because I've been hurt, I have hurt, and at the same time, I've been the type of person where I had to understand that being a friend or having certain friends comes with risks. That some friends, they're going to hurt you more than they're going to love you. And that there's going to be some friends who they're going to love you more than you love them. And so that's why I say, learn to take certain people who are friends and hold them close as friends, because you never know, friends is hard to come by. At that same time, I do want people to know that, when we're talking about finding friends, finding the right people who's going to love on you, be sure that for a fact that the people who you have around you are people who hold you accountable, people who love you, people who treasure you, people who hold you up, people who don't take you for granted. Let me say it again. People who do not take you for granted, and that when you are saying you are hurting, or you need time alone, or you're working on yourself, or you're trying to develop yourself, they respect it. And in fact, they'll support it. So, I love you. I hope to see you guys next week with a new video. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, and at the same time, like I always say, you can always find me on Instagram. And so at that point, I hope you guys have an awesome week, have an awesome time, and I hope to see you next week.